Sometimes you just get tired of saying, "Gimme the usual." Next time you're enjoying some Cracker Barrel, consider these time-tested picks.
If you're homesick for mama's cooking, few things satisfy your craving more than chicken fried steak. When it comes to fried food, chicken seems to get all the golden brown glory. But chicken fried steak is the dark horse that deserves our attention. The history of the dish offers much debate, but according to the Culture Trip, we can likely thank the European settlers who came to America. When German and Austrian expats landed in Texas, they brought along with them recipes from their homeland, including Wiener Schnitzel. Based on affordability and availability, it's thought that they likely grabbed cheap cuts of beef for frying, resulting in what we now know as chicken fried steak. What stands out about Cracker Barrel's version is they've really nailed the meat to breading ratio. The tender but affordable USDA choice steak is coated in a perfect blend of flour, egg, and just the right amount of seasoning. This dish may push your maximum sodium count for the day, but it's so worth it. Stretchy pants are not included. While on the topic of poultry, it's been reported that Cracker Barrel sells over 11 million orders each year of another popular dish, their chicken and dumplings. What is now affordable fare found on nearly every menu that celebrates Southern cooking, the dish did not start out that way. According to Wide Open Eats, when it first made its way to dining tables across the United States in the latter half of the 1800s, it would be what we would now describe as a delicacy. During this time, the pre-industrialized farming era, chicken was pricey and often passed over for cheaper cuts of meat, such as veal and chuck roast. Thanks to availability and affordability, these little pillows of goodness now have us fondly recalling trips to our grandma's house, not financial hardships. Cracker Barrel's version is slow-cooked and hearty, with tender chunks of all-white meat chicken. While you may be familiar with some recipes that call for an almost biscuit-like dumpling, theirs features a flat version of the carb that almost mimics a noodle. The two items are married together in holy matrimony with creamy, rich chicken broth. At only 40 calories a serving, Cracker Barrel's broccoli side dish will let you leave room for the true stars of the show, their delectable main dish options like roast beef and hamburger steak. Other sides clock in well beyond this, such as the 300 calories you'll consume for cornbread dressing. This delight for the calorie-conscious is also featured in the chain's popular Wednesday-only offering, broccoli cheddar chicken. Upon scouring the internet, we were even able to track down a fantastic copycat version of the recipe thanks to the Spicy Southern Kitchen. Perfect for evenings Thursday through Tuesday. We never thought we'd be saying this, but please pass the broccoli. Universally known yet often poorly executed, macaroni and cheese is really the pinnacle of comfort food. We're talking perfectly al dente noodles, butter, and cheese coming together in creamy baked bliss. Cracker Barrel's version features elbow macaroni noodles and their signature yet undisclosed cheese blend. The combo is baked together just long enough for an extra creamy product with the perfect amount of crispy cheese patches on top. Nothing fancy here. In this day and age where you could indulge in a shaved, truffle-topped aged white cheddar mac and cheese that will set you back a mortgage payment, we'll gladly accept this near-perfect presentation of the iconic American dish in its most basic and natural form. No two words have ever sounded less appealing together than meat and loaf, but alas, the dish has become a staple in many homes. According to Bon Appetit, this culinary wonder may date back to medieval times, when peasants found a successful way to prevent meat scraps from going to waste. It has since made its way to the forefront of the American palate, alongside the greats like hamburgers and hot dogs. The savory dish may even be to thank for full bellies during one of America's toughest times, the Great Depression. The combination of ground meat and bread lives on as a menu staple at Cracker Barrel restaurants. What makes their version so unique is the use of one common household item in place of breadcrumbs: Ritz crackers. Made fresh in-house each day and finished off with a ketchup topping just before baking, the result is both tender and moist, making it one of the most sought-after items. It's so popular, in fact, it's even known to sell out. Unlike the aforementioned broccoli and meatloaf, we probably won't have to sell you on the double chocolate fudge Coca-Cola cake. The fudgy dessert begins with a handmade daily double chocolate fudge cake. This isn't your ordinary box chocolate cake. Cracker Barrel's cake is the creme de la creme of all versions after it's baked. According to Yahoo, both cake and ice cream top the list of America's favorite desserts, making this unique pairing a surefire winner on your next visit to Cracker Barrel. We won't judge you if you'd like to skip over the chicken pot pie and head right for the dessert. While we've scoured the internet for the perfect recipe, there's really nothing quite like the Hashbrown Casserole from Cracker Barrel. Readily available as a soggy breakfast option at most fast food spots, their version offers just the right amount of crunch. Thanks to Cracker Barrel's all-day breakfast, be it morning, noon, or night, you can enjoy the combination of shredded potatoes, chopped onions, Colby cheese, and their signature seasoning blend baked together in joyous harmony. It's even available in a bacon and egg combo, or in a sweet potato variety with pecans and brown sugar. We're going to fill you in on a little secret for your next visit, when you should order their loaded Hashbrown Casserole. What exactly does loaded mean? In this next-level interpretation of the classic dish, they will finish it off on the grill, top it with crispy bacon, and even throw in some more ooey gooey melted Colby cheese. Whether from the East or West Coast and any point in between, Sunday dinners are a cherished American tradition. While in Italian-American homes it's all about the sauce, at Cracker Barrel, Sunday homestyle chicken is the name of the game. According to the Daily Meal, we have Scotland to thank for inventing this deep-fried chicken method. Once reserved in America for special occasions, fried chicken is now a global favorite. Cracker Barrel offers two versions, with one being only available on Sunday. A variation of the classic Southern fried chicken, Cracker Barrel Sunday Homestyle Chicken is made with boneless chicken breasts. The chicken is hand-dipped in Cracker Barrel's secret buttermilk batter and fried, resulting in super juicy, deep-fried perfection. If Cracker Barrel does one thing right, it has got to be their biscuits. They've even dedicated an entirely new restaurant chain concept to the flaky pastry. Their signature biscuits come complimentary alongside nearly every option on their menu. And what's a biscuit without something spread across it? You can dip, dunk, and drench away with your choice of sawmill gravy, preserves, jam, and butter.
Making biscuits from scratch. That's how we try to put a little gravy on top.
Our favorite take on this perfect Southern pastry is the country ham and biscuit. Available as part of their breakfast all-day menu, you can up the ante of your meal, or just enjoy it as a light snack. A fresh buttermilk biscuit is halved and filled with a nice lap of country ham. Differing from their sugar-cured ham, this one is hickory smoked and hand-rubbed with their special curing mixture. The resulting slice of ham adds a bite of salt to balance out the butteriness of the biscuit. The country ham has become so popular, you can even order a whole ham off of their website and have it shipped directly to your door. Maybe we have Forrest Gump to thank for it, but Americans can't get enough of shrimp. Broiled, steamed, blackened, and butterflied, there are never-ending possibilities when it comes to whipping up our favorite crustacean. In fact, we have been known to occasionally indulge in literally never-ending shrimp thanks to Red Lobster's endless shrimp promotions. According to Slate, once shrimp farming became a thing around the world in the 20th century, rising production led to more affordable prices, hence the popularity. What was once a luxury can now be purchased for a meager several bucks a pound. And we are certainly not complaining. What happens when you combine our favorite under-the-sea treat with America's preferred method of cooking? Introducing Cracker Barrel's Country Fried Shrimp. A copious amount of shrimp is coated in sweet buttermilk breading and deep-fried to a golden brown. Completing the meal are a steaming portion of hush puppies. We're talking a literal boatload of food with this one. What's up with the South and sweet tea? It's just water, tea, and sugar, right? Wrong. According to Food Network, tea became super popular when Prohibition took effect in the South. No longer able to grab for a glass of the stiff stuff, people sought comfort in a sobering yet delicious glass of iced tea, and the obsession persists to this day. Freshly brewed in-house since 1969, Cracker Barrel sweet tea is stored refrigerated at all times, and then iced, never poured over ice while hot, which would result in a watered-down beverage. Beloved by customers, it is available as you dine by the refillable glass, or in half gallons to go. Looking for a little variety to spice up your life? Try one of their thirst-quenching flavors, like a blackberry tea that's blended with a fruit puree. Southern charm and sweet tea are pretty much the epitome of a visit to Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel offers a home-style Hashbrown Casserole on the sides menu, then takes the dish to richer heights as loaded Hashbrown Casserole Tots, smothering them in shreds of cheddar cheese and sprinkling them with bits of real bacon. We could swear the restaurant goes one step further, filling them with a creamy cheese gravy sauce that transforms them into tater grenades, though we can find no mention of this on the menu or the website. Whatever the secret magic is, this order is a keen breakfast dish you can enjoy without having to be an early riser. These tots are also a fun reinvention of the familiar form. Rather than the smallish nuggets we're used to, we had tots the size of donut holes, enough to deliver the potato flavor accented by the filling and toppings. They come with ranch dressing for dipping, though they hardly need it. Each tot was so sizable, it was easy to fill up on one or two, which means sharing with your table mates won't be an issue. If you're dining alone, be sure to ask for a to-go box for whatever might be left in the basket. They'll make a great reheat in the morning. Country-style biscuits are a sure thing at Cracker Barrel. They come to the table free of charge as just another element of the restaurant's sweet hospitality, but that doesn't make them any less an appetizer than the items you order from the menu. Why shouldn't there be biscuits on the table in addition to whatever early foods you order? We're pretty discerning about our bread products, and Cracker Barrel biscuits are some of the best in the business. Dense and crumbly, with just enough flavor to state their case, these biscuits were the perfect vehicle for diffusing the fried fare, serving as both a palate cleanser and a starter in their own right. They also seem to have salty bottoms, a fun discovery that may not have been intentional, but was certainly appreciated. A slab of butter was all it took to complete a perfect biscuit moment.
At Cracker Barrel Old Country Store, choice shouldn't stop with where you go for dinner. you should get to pick exactly what you want too.
Before you write off deep-fried pickles as an oddball southern delicacy, think about what's involved. Tangy dill pickle slices slathered in batter and deep-fried until they're beyond crispy, the level of crunchy that the very last French fries in the batch become, and ranch dressing is a perfect dipping sauce. Country fried pickles at Cracker Barrel are just that fantastic. We found it difficult to keep our hands out of the fried pickle basket once we started going. The initial thrill of the texture is a serious hook. This is deeply fried to the point of emitting ASMR-friendly sounds as you chew. Then the tender pickle slice takes the lead, chewy without being soggy, imparting the tingly tang that told us this was an excellent choice. We went for another and another, circling back as we sampled the other dishes and finding ourselves eager to grab another. So we did, and we were sad when they were gone. We still are. It isn't often that an appetizer takes on the depth and dimension of a dessert, but that's exactly what these incredible bite-sized sweets do. You aren't likely to mistake them for traditional beignets. They're denser and less pillowy than the usual recipe, due to Cracker Barrel's use of biscuit dough. The crisp exterior and tender interior are the perfect combination for enjoying a donut-like starter that gives you just enough sweetness and spice, courtesy of a touch of cinnamon in the dough and a dusting of powdered sugar on top. We were delightfully surprised to learn these beignets were 3-bite sizes and perfectly shaped for dipping in the syrupy butter pecan sauce that accompanied them. True, the other appetizers were delicious, but they were also twists on starters you know and love. Having something sweet on the menu to shake things up made for a fun alternative, and considering that these arrived at the table last, they felt like an appetizer dessert that finished things off on a lighter note. We would have no trouble ordering these to go and enjoying them with a cup of coffee around the table at home, for breakfast or dessert.
The mashed potatoes from Cracker Barrel weren't fluffy. Instead, they were dense and slightly chunky, which isn't necessarily a bad thing here. They packed a ton of potato flavor and had enough fat to make them pleasantly rich. You can order these taters 3 ways: plain, with brown gravy, or with white sawmill gravy. For this taste test, we chose brown gravy. This tasted less real than the potatoes, as it had a strong beef bouillon and powdered gravy vibe. Nevertheless, the dish was yummy, with a strong savory character and plenty of salt and black pepper. The coleslaw served at chain restaurants is often pretty bad. Sometimes the cabbage is wilted and limp, and the dressing is frequently overly sweet. Neither of these problems affected Cracker Barrel's version of the dish. The blend of green and red cabbage was sliced thin, but not so thin that it lost its crispy texture, and the slaw seemed like it had been made fresh. The carrots added a hint of sweetness, and the mildly bitter flavor of the cabbage came through as well. There wasn't an overwhelming amount of dressing. It was nice and creamy, with a hint of sugar and vinegar. It balanced out the veggies without taking over the dish or turning it into cabbage soup. The fried description is something of a misnomer, as these apple slices are actually baked. The dish is sort of like a less sweet apple pie filling. The fruit is cooked with sugar and cinnamon until it's soft and delicious. The cinnamon and sugar mixed with the juice from the cooked fruit to make a gooey sauce, but the apples themselves still retained a hint of crispiness and bite. There also wasn't too much sugar. The natural acidity of the apples helped balance out all of the sweetness. This was a warming and hearty dish that would be equally enjoyable topped with a scoop of vanilla ice cream or next to a slice of country ham. Some vegetables, like carrots, do not benefit from being overcooked. Others, like green beans, are amazing if allowed to cook slowly until they're almost falling apart. That's how Cracker Barrel prepares its beans.
I do very much enjoy cooking Thanksgiving dinner.
And you're so good at it.
Thanks, green beans.
The long cooking brought out a slight sweetness in the beans that you don't get from a brief dunk in boiling water. While the beans weren't filled with pork chunks like the turnip greens, they actually had a meatier flavor thanks to the pork seasoning. There was also a hint of onion and garlic powder, infusing additional savoriness, although with enough black pepper to give the beans more of a kick. Cracker Barrel's fried okra was crisp, fresh, and snappy. Despite being coated in breading and fried, the green, springy flavor of the vegetable shone through. Sometimes breading has a hard time sticking, but the coating used by Cracker Barrel had no problem staying adhered. It had a light crispiness. Not necessarily crunchy, but it wasn't soggy either. The breading didn't soak up much oil from the fryer, so it didn't feel too unhealthy. Some of the okra pieces were a little tough, but the flavor was so good that this wasn't too much of a problem. Cracker Barrel's Cornbread Muffins tasted like they contained the barest hint of sugar, but they mostly leaned into a savory flavor profile and were better for it. The corn taste really came through in a powerful way. The cornmeal imparted a slightly gritty texture to the muffins, which was a good thing in this context. Although the muffins were hearty, they weren't heavy. They aren't very oily either, indicating they were made with the appropriate amount of fat. Steak fries typically have a lower ratio of crispy surface area to soft interior. Cracker Barrel solved this problem by coating its steak fries in a thick layer of batter. The craggy nature of the batter increased the amount of exterior crispiness considerably. They were generously seasoned with savory garlic salt. The oil on the surface of the fries activated the garlic powder in the seasoning, lending the fries an almost roasted garlic aroma. The insides were just as delicious. The thick-cut potatoes tasted a lot more potato-y than a typical shoestring fast food fry. The fry interiors were also super fluffy and soft. Sometimes the simple things in life are the best, and that's the case with Cracker Barrel's Pinto Beans. They're a masterclass in how a basic ingredient, when treated with the proper respect, can be much tastier than a complicated recipe. These pinto beans had the firm texture and robust flavor of beans cooked from dry. While canned beans are convenient, they're bland and mushy compared to dry beans that have been rehydrated and cooked for hours on the stove. The dish was chock full of tender chunks of pork, and the meatiness worked in perfect harmony with the rustic flavor of the beans. Though these beans weren't as soft as canned ones, the insides were still creamy and smooth.